How's it going, guys? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Nachtmystium entitled Silencing Machine. This is released on Century Media Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of DeKalb, Illinois, and for the better part of the last 10 years or so, this has been a band that really has taken the sound of black metal and really has just done crazy and strange things with it. Whether it be raw and gritty or psychedelic and experimental, this band has a lot of guts and a lot of balls doing what they do. I mean, when you think about raw and gritty, I can think of albums like Demise and Instinct Decay. Both those albums really showcase the band at their highest peak in terms of production, music, lyrics. Just the overall atmosphere of those records were just amazing. Just great, great music. But then, after those records, we entered the sound that Nachtmystium has been recently picking up nowadays, still maintaining that black metal kind of sound, but with a lot more emphasis on experimentation, the inclusion of synths and samples and almost industrial kind of elements. I mean, the black metal series, Assassins and Addicts respectively, it's weird that the album was called black metal because, in a way, they're meddling with the sound of black metal. And that's something that's either going to be loved by few or hated by many. I enjoyed both of those records, but really, I thought those both were just experimental phases for them. And with Silencing Machine, I was hoping for a little bit of a return to the Nachtmystium of old, so to speak. So, with that said, let's get on to Silencing Machine. It's 10 tracks, and it runs around 59 minutes in length. And I know this album has been out for quite a while, but really, this has been an album that I've had a little bit of a struggle trying to listen to and fully understand. But since all this time has passed, I finally said, you know what, I'm done listening to this album right now. I've given it enough listens, and I've pretty much come to the conclusion that this album is somewhat of a return to form for them. Most of the time, at least. This is an album that returns to a little bit of the Nachtmystium of old, but yet you still have those songs that really verge on experimental. And really, I'm having a hard time figuring out which side of this record really means more. The black metal songs or the experimental songs. I'll get to those songs in just a second, but let me just run down everything musically for you as best as I can. Guitar-wise, it's your usual Nachtmystium guitar. You're going to get a lot of heavy, high-end riffs, good solid tremolo riffs, just that heavy distortion going on with the sound of the guitars. It's a very evidented kind of guitar sound all the way throughout. I really enjoy it. If I had to think of one song that best utilizes the guitars, I would have to say the tracks The Lepers of Destitution and I want to say maybe the title track. Those are some songs that really well utilize the guitars. And even the occasional solo work that's on here, it's played very nicely, and I like the way that it sounds. The bass, however, is a completely different story. The bass here is just absolutely crushing. Very clear, very audible, very dominant in this mix. I mean, when you hear the guitar riffs go on, you hear the bass just jump right up on it. It's not anything to be overly flashy, but still the bass tells a lot more of a story than the guitars really even would. And just that overall grit and sludge to it, it just really brings out the best in this record. And the bass does that for me here. I absolutely love that. Drum-wise, the drums are pretty good. You're going to get your usual kind of black metal drumming. You're going to get your fast kind of blast beats to really solid double bass, to the occasional drum roll and drum fill. Some really good stuff going on there, to the even more experimental parts of this album, because the drums will have that kind of alternative post-rock kind of influence going on, preferably on later songs like Borrowed Hope and Broken Dreams, and Give Me the Grave. I mean, those are songs that really have that almost experimental kind of quality to them. They work pretty well, but I much prefer the black metal style of drumming here as opposed to the experimental side. And as in previous Nachtmystium albums, the experimentation is there, the synths, the samples, the almost industrial kind of feelings that you would have heard on the last few records. Sanford Parker does really well here with that. He can do that really, really awesome. I don't know how others might feel about that, but really that's the way things are with this record, I guess. I think it's pretty solid. And vocal-wise, you have Blake Judd doing his usual kind of growls, very raspy, high kind of growls, very distorted, very much as if he's still in pain, he's still in recovery. That's the kind of vibe you picked up from the last record. And on here, it's pretty much a continuation of that style. I like his vocals. He has a really good vocal style. And I noticed that he sticks to that throughout. There's not really an emphasis on him trying to break out into any kind of singing, like on the last record with that song Nightfall. Basically, it was a different kind of vocal approach, but this time I'm thinking the vocals are a little bit more improved here than on the last record. But yeah, overall, I think this record is a success. It does have its ups and downs in between, and honestly, this is a record that's still going to continue to grow on me with time. But I do think, in some ways, this is a little bit of a return to form. It's not a full return to form. I don't think this is their best work. I still say albums like Demise and Instinct Decay are their best works. But yeah, this is going to be something to grow on. If it grows on you, then good. If not, I guess just stick to the classic material from them. That's all I can really say. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would have to say Dawn Over the Ruins of Jerusalem, which is a very fitting opener for this album. The Lepers of Destitution, I Wait in Hell, and Reduced to Ashes. Those are some pretty solid songs for me. So again, the album is Silencing Machine by Nachtmystium. This is released on Century Media Records. Check it out if you like. And as far as the score is concerned, for the time being, I'm going to give it a 7.75 out of 10. This is pretty solid. It does have its flaws, but I still think this is a worthwhile listen. So check it out if you like Nachtmystium. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Miho out.